Welcome to the Manhattan Project. This is day 15.
15. Last night, Evan and I went to go see Patti Cakes with a $S.
Got to get on the L train, Evan.
Taking out
To go to Regal
Union Square 14.
13 or 14?
14.
Oh, it's a nice movie, Evan.
That's what you want, right?
It was a big Sundance hit, sold for a lot of money to Fox Searchlights earlier this year. It is the first time feature film from a guy that directed a couple music videos before that I'm blanking on the name of.
Geremy, Jasper, something like that.
It stars Danielle
MacDonald
as an overweight white girl that likes to rap, stuck in New Jersey with big dreams and aspirations to move to New York and make it big in the music industry. However, it is hard to get past her overbearing mother, played by Bridget Everett, as well as the financial strains that her sick Nana puts on her and her mother in their family life. Take a look at the trailer. Did I say rap star?
Your pen game is ridiculous. How badly do you want this?
Real bad.
So we go all in.
What's your rap singing name? Do we dumb drops?
I'm actually Killa P.
You ain't no artist. You a culture vulture.
Get off the stage!
I thought I could be someone.
You already are.
You got this. You're a boss bitch.
So, Evan, going into Patti Cakes, what was your expectations?
My expectations weren't that high, to be honest. I'm not the biggest fan of like the Sundance indie dramedy subgenre, if there is such a thing. But it's mainly because the trailer had a lot of sort of like dream sequence stuff in it where I was like, ooh, that's stuff I really don't like.
Yeah.
That being said, I do like a good music movie, so I was hoping that I'd like the rap songs.
What Patti Cakes lacks in original plotting, it more than makes up for with memorable original on-screen characters. This movie is always playing directly by the book in that genre of inspirational rags to riches story where you follow like a hapless underdog hero trying to rise to the top with their, sort of unexpected original dreams. And yet, it's still pretty damn watchable for its entire run, so can't really complain. Agree or disagree?
I agree. For me, what made it watchable was certainly the lead performance. So I learned today, actually, that Danielle MacDonald, who plays Patti Cake's Patricia, is from Australia, but she does a really great job with the New Jersey accent, which is like strong, but not completely ridiculous. And also just the rapping and being this character who you can really see them come into their own whenever they choose to make music. They get a lot more confidence when they're able to be in that position as opposed to necessarily the rest of life. Not that she's timid by any means. In fact, it was kind of nice that she had a decent degree of self-confidence, but just a person who has an understanding of who their true self is. So that, to me, was what really kept the movie going, was just whenever it was able to showcase how good her performance was and not necessarily focus on sort of predictable up and down type plot beats.
Yeah, and while the movie is really predictable, I agree with what you're kind of saying, that it does surprisingly mitigate a lot of those frustrating moments that you have in movies like this, where the character can't achieve their dreams, yet. You have to wait 90 to 100 minutes. So you have a bunch of setbacks that are just random or bizarre or unlucky, and it's just usually not fun to watch, or the character makes a mistake that's annoying, or just the world treats them in a shitty way that just you find frustrating. In this, not only did you buy the struggle, but it's rare that Patti actually makes a decision that you're strongly disagreeing with. She has character flaws.
Right.
She makes mistakes, certainly. However, I don't think that the movie really falters at all in making you believe that she's making the decisions because this is who she is and this is what led her here. And you're always rooting for her. That's the biggest thing you can say about a movie like this, where it's an underdog story. Do you want to root for the character? And I think, despite the fact that it's a white female rapper from New Jersey and how much that might be sort of eye-rolly or weird or unexpected, you always like her. What matters is the fact that she's a human being, and this actress is able to play her like a human being, and you believe it.
It's interesting. I wonder to what extent this film is okay working within this genre, because it's not just music, but rapping specifically, as opposed to something like sports, where it's not that we know she's good at sports because we see her like shooting hoops all the time, and it's just like, Well, I guess she has this natural talent. Like, it's easier to believe. We see her writing in her notebook every single day, writing out rap lyrics. Like, we know that real rappers do. They fill notebooks. And for whatever reason, that's just, like, really easy to buy. They're like, oh, yeah, she says she's 23. If she's been doing this since age 14 or 15, she probably would be pretty good at wordplay and stuff. If she listens to a lot of rap, like, it's just, like, really easy to buy the mixture of talent and grind that she puts in to master her craft. Then they can just focus on other external obstacles as to, you know, people don't expect her to be good at rapping. There's not that many opportunities for her to perform or to record or whatever else.
I also really like her friend, the pharmacist guy, who is like her partner in crime, so to speak. Going into the movie, they're like friends, and that's her sort of unit, right? She already has some sort of support in that. They both share the same dream. They like to improvise music together. And then throughout the movie, you get this sort of nice making the band situation where they meet new people, or they meet a new guy and then they join, and then he joins with them, and then the Nana actually joins with them, and then they make a rap track together, and it's sort of this fun origin story of like a gang of misfits, so to speak. And I almost wish that we saw more or knew more about how Patti hooked up with this Indian pharmacy dude, you know what I mean? Like, that's an interesting backstory, because the best parts here are when the characters are playing around and interacting with others. And so, you know, they do a good job of establishing that Patti's been living there her whole life, so all the local, you know, dirtbags know her and they have names for her and stuff like that. And she, like I said, she already has a friend. And yet, like I said, I think I would have appreciated a little bit more if she had even less of an infrastructure, or maybe even we saw more of the beginnings of her inspiration. Because instead, where she chooses to start the day in her life where she wakes up, because this movie literally starts with that fucking cliche where the character wakes up in bed in the morning after having a dream, where it chooses to start, it doesn't feel particularly earned. Like I said, I kind of wish we saw a little bit more of the earlier stages of how she became herself, because like you said, yes, you buy who she is because she's writing in these notebooks, but they're just kind of telling us who she is. They're not necessarily showing us how she came into herself.
Also, the fact that her mother has no clue that she seems to like rap music in that way, where if we do assume that she's been working like this for years, don't you think her mom would notice the notebooks or whatever else? So yeah, there's definitely a little bit of an interesting thing there. This is this director's first movie, like feature film. He's done music, but he's done promos. Clearly a very creative person. And from what I learned anecdotally in an article is that he never written a feature screenplay. It took a long time to write this one. It took years to redraft it. But still, there's little things like that where you almost wonder, that's perhaps the hiccup of being a first-time filmmaker, is not knowing how to handle certain exposition, or like having the movie start with her waking up and not necessarily having the right inciting incident for like why now, you know, especially in this type of story that usually has a really strong one that's really obvious.
Yeah, and I'm also glad you brought up her mother, who is played by Bridget Everett, and I've seen her actually live once. So she's known in like the entertainment industry as mixing comedy with cabaret singing or burlesque singing. Is there such thing as burlesque singing? But you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. That style of whatever that style is called. I think it's like cabaret singing. She did that traditionally, and then she actually started to make her own like parody comedic songs, and then she infused that with comedy, and then I think she hooked up with Amy Schumer and was on her show and whatever. She has this good thing, this career going where she sings. So seeing her in this, I was very interested. She looks like she could be the mother of this girl. It's kind of crazy. And, you know, she's really well cast, and I was interested to see where her acting chops were. And then so when I did see the movie, I, once again, to use the word interested, I was interested to see that they have her sing in it. And I actually liked a lot what they did with that arc, who her character was. She's very flawed, and yet the way they develop her and the way her conclusion comes about and the relationship, I found to be very touching and unexpected, and perhaps my favorite part of this entire movie. Because, again, there's even a joke about Patti Cakes being the white precious, or you know, stuff like that, where I really thought it was going to play into that cliche where they were going to go super dark with it, where just like the biggest adversity in Patti Cakes' life is her mom is just a drunk, you know, rude, mean alcoholic that steals her money and beats her or whatever, mistreats her. And while it gets a little bit dark where the mom certainly has some big issues, we learn a lot more on how those issues came to be, and I kind of bought it. So props to the movie for that. Another thing I really liked about it, I thought Bridget Everett pulled off a really good performance and made a character that could be really unlikable actually quite believable. And when you believe that they're a real human being, I personally find it easier to like them in general. So that was cool.
So that's a good transition point to talk about the movie's sort of tonal aspects, how a lot of these Sundance indie dramedies, what differentiates them from a different kind of dramedy is they're willing to get a little bit darker. And I think what made some of that work in this movie was the specificity of it. It feels very specific to a certain suburb of New York area. This movie takes place in New Jersey. I've never lived in New Jersey, but I've visited areas in New Jersey, Staten Island, Long Island, Connecticut, all around it. It felt authentic to me, so that sort of justifies certain details there. Contrasting the dark stuff, there's the humor and then also the visuals. This movie had all these dream sequences. That for me was probably the one aspect that just like I couldn't get into at all. It's hard to do a dream sequence right. In this case, they seem kind of purposefully a little bit, not dinky, but the budget on this movie was low, so they tried to, I guess, lean into that for the surreality of a dream. I don't know, for me that was like one thing that didn't work and just made me want more of like the real shit, whether it was just funny real stuff or darker real stuff.
Although I did like that, again, this is a cliche that's in every single one of these, but not to spoil anything, the way they depict the dream in the first half of the movie, and then when she learns more about her hero, this person she idolizes on television, who has this rap show she wants to get on, the interaction that she has with that guy, and then what happens after definitely changes the way she imagines her future. And I found that to be it to work well, because I bought it, even if it was again cliche. This whole movie is cliches, but you usually buy it. It's good enough. It's never failing, and that's more than you can say about other movies that do the same shit. But I agree with you that the fantasy sequence is not really for me. So I say, Patti Cakes, if you're looking at the trailer and thinking maybe this is for me, it's exactly what you expect it to be. I know I say that a lot in these reviews, but it's really the truth. It's a serviceable movie. It's not shockingly good. The music is good enough. The performances are the best part, and it lacks surprises, but it is pleasant enough. It's not really dark. It's not that downtrodden. You will come out of this thing feeling better than you did going into it. And so for that, I say definitely worth a look if you thought that this was something you might be interested in.
So my metaphor or simile for this one is it's like John just said that, but then it comes out of my mouth.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying like probably like a 2.5 out of 4.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's exactly what I thought.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We are the Manhattan Project. We review a new movie every single day, which means we're going to be back
Tomorrow, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then